Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to have you here today. I have a not short presentation about Estonia and how Estonian government is doing, or how we have done our ICT. Yes, my personal background is I'm a software engineer, so I have done only software engineering my whole life. I've been part of entrepreneurship also, but yes, mostly I'm an engineer. Estonia is a small country, people-wise, but it's a huge country on land-wise. I mean, like, it's the country's size is actually bigger than Denmark or Netherlands. But at the same time, there's only 1.3 million people living in Estonia. So the main problem for Estonia has always been how we're going to serve our people. Not only on the government side, but also on the private sector side. I mean, there are so many small cities all around in Estonia that there are 1,000 or 2,000 people living. And basically means that there cannot be any bank offices or post offices because there are not too many transactions happening every day. I wanted to close down one postal office in North Estonia because there was only 7 transactions per day happening. And politicians told me that you can't do that. We need to leave that postal office open. But this problem has been in Estonia already like 20 years when we broke apart from Soviet Union 1991. So the first goal for the government of Estonia in 1991 was how to serve our people. The same with private sector, how to serve people. And we understood that the only way how we can serve people is to do it in a digital way, through automation. Force people to use internet, force people to use e-services or m-services. So if you ask us, like, is Estonian people are more innovative or smart than other people in the world? No, they are not. It's because we have a lot of lands, but not too many people. That's the key element. That's the key reason behind of Estonian innovation. The second reason behind Estonian innovation is money, the lack of money. So when we broke apart from Soviet Union, the country was basically broke, no money at all. So again, automation, forcing people to serve themselves actually takes the service cost down into the minimum. So that was another reason, the second reason why we invested so much into IT. So the first was the country size, and the second reason is lack of money. So, and today, yes, I can say, I have traveled a lot around the world, I can say that from the government perspective, we are the, best e-government in the world. But it's not because of being so innovative, it's because of drastic reasons, the size and the lack of money. So your government here asked me to introduce the BAF, or the main criteria, what has been the success story behind E-Estonia. So I will spend half of my presentation talk about history and what we actually did during the last 20 years, and what are the key elements of Estonian success. And then another half an hour I will spend on talking about new things like e-residency, data embassies, and where the countries will end up if everything is digitalized. So I will go through, these are the 6 main focus areas we basically fixed already 20 years ago, and we have kept our government focus on these 6 elements, and this has helped us to build one of the greatest e-countries in the world. So the first one is quite obvious, connectivity. If there is no internet, there cannot be any e-services. So we have heavily invested into the connectivity, connections. So, and that has been a government priority 20 years. And doesn't mean, the best internet in the world is actually in South Korea. So you don't have to be the best one, but the speed has to be meaningful, and the speed has to be, the speed limit has to be has to be in a way that people are actually able to use services, and they want to do that. I can use at least 50 megabits per second even when I'm gathering mushrooms in the forest. Why should I do it? Because there is an app stating that this mushroom is eatable and that is actually poisonous. So I need that. But of course, do I need 100 megabits in a forest? No. So that's the point. I mean, like, you don't need 100 or 200 or 400, but you need at least 30 megabits. So that has been the government goal, always, not the maximum, but enough. So 10 is less, too less. It should be higher. 30, enough at the moment. After a couple of years, our aim is to reach 100 megabits at least minimum in 2018. But it has been a focus all 20 years. And why it's so important? I mean, like 99% of our bank transactions, so everything we do with money, is through e-services. And the problem what we have already is that, for example, the amount of bank offices all around the country is so limited that if we don't have an internet, then we don't have a network that could survive physical transactions. And that's a problem. That's actually already a strategic problem for the country. Because if you take away internet in Estonia, it means that people cannot access their money. That's a problem, what we are facing at the moment. So, or another example, you have a great weather here in Dubai, but this kind of weather is in Estonia 10 months a year. So, and then the rest of 2 months it's raining. So, for example, in January, we had 11 hours of sun in January. So not 11 days, 11 hours of sun on January. So this is an average weather in Estonia. So there might be heavy snowstorms and people are not just able to access any services. Again, that's why it's important to actually give people a chance to access the private sector and the government sector. It has never been only government sector, also always private together with the government. So that picture will illustrate, it's actually a picture of New York. It's not Estonia. There was a snowstorm on election day in New York. And because of snowstorm, everything was frozen and freezed in New York. Cars are not moving, everything is down. And the weather basically changed the election results. So this cannot ever happen in Estonia because we have e-elections. So people can vote over the internet. Behind the computers, they sit and they can vote. In the beginning, we thought it will be more young people who are actually voting over the internet. And it was, but it's not anymore. We have had these e-elections like 10 years, like 9 years actually. We started 2005. So 9 years, 10 years, we have had these e-elections. And now we see that even elder people even use it more than young people. We have a parliament elections on the 1st of March. It will be early spring. Most probably it's slippery. So people don't want to walk on a slippery street into the voting offices because they might fall, break their arms, legs, whatever. So it's much more convenient to actually vote it over the internet. So we see that elder people also actually use these e-services, not only young people. And we have studies done that no party gets, some kind of advantage because of e-elections. So all the parties have the same ability, same results. So the second focus area for the government has always been the skills. So the skills not only at schools, but also the skills of adults and the skills of elder people. And again, I have to say, for example, Denmark or Sweden, they're doing way better when they are teaching elder people. But in average, I can say that we are okay. I mean, like, again, you don't have to reach the maximum. You have to keep the basics. So skills, we broke apart from Soviet Union in 1991. So we had a huge program called Tiger Leap in 1996. It meant that we computerized all the schools. We have reached the level that now we teach programming on a first grade. It's part of the curriculum. We are teaching for first grade students programming. Actually, schools have a choice. They either teach programming or they teach chess. Mr. Garri Kasparov, the famous chess player, he's living partly in Estonia, and his foundation is actually part of our chess foundation. So it's the same kind of playing with algorithms. Learning chess, which is a very cheap way to learn programming, actually, or you can actually program in a classroom. And currently we are in a situation, it's not mandatory, but it's so popular that we are lacking teachers. So we are training teachers to make it more available. So because every school actually wants that. And of course, schools have robotics courses, etc. But that was all started in 1996. The second thing is that, yes, 2001 we needed public internet access points because there was no smartphones back then, and people didn't have computers. Now they do. So this is not so important anymore. But as I said, the skills have been government focused. So people have focused on delivering access to the internet, all people. That's important. We had special courses, and that's important. We had them together with private sector. So banks and telecom companies actually paid for this, not the government. Banks and telecom companies paid for the courses of elder people, teaching them how to use internet, how to use e-banking, how to use government e-services. So basically, like 10% of all elder people were trained, like how to use computers. And they were very, I would say, motivating, and they were very successful because elder people, they want to gather, they want to talk to each other, they want to learn together, and it was fun. For them, it was a huge fun. So it was a huge success. That's a picture, actually, of Estonian Song Festival. It's a festival we have after every 5 years, and 10% of the whole nation is gathering in one place to sing after every 5 years. So that's a picture of the singing festival. So the third focus area, citizen control of data. So part of the skills we teach to the people is the understanding of privacy and the understanding of data protection. That's a problem of European Union, for example, that basically Western Europe has understood the privacy and data protection thing completely wrong. I mean, like, we call it Michael Schumacher example. When Michael Schumacher was treated in a hospital in Switzerland, his medical record was stolen, if you remember. It was on paper, so everybody could actually see this. Everybody has a camera with them, so they can actually picture it, and they can share the medical record. That is on paper. And the problem of paper records is that you never knew who actually looked. But with digital records, when all your hospital records, for example, when they are digital, yes, doctors can access them, nurses can access them, but you always know who accessed that data. And if there was unauthorized access, you can always ask, why you access that data? And if you don't have an explanation, you get fired. If you pass that information in Estonia to the journalist, for example, you get 2 years at jail. So we treat these kind of security and privacy issues very seriously. I mean, like, yes, doctors have access to all data, but if they do that, they risk with their career. What it means. You have spent 9 years at university learning how to become a doctor, and then you waste your whole career because of you just wanted to sneak or peek somebody's medical record. It's not worth it. And our culture, and our history shows that they don't do that. They know that if they look, it will be recorded, not only in medical area, healthcare, but also in financial sector. They all know that. And they know if it's not authorized, they get fired. So people can access, people always can ask, not only healthcare, but in any area, who has watched my data? From police, who has watched my data? And if there is no excuse, the person gets fired. Or if the information is given to the third party, jail. It depends how huge is the damage, but in jail. So, and that's very important. I mean, that's not the question in Estonia. You know the fairy tale about 3 bears. Sorry. So comparing with Germany or UK, our people know that it's not the confidentiality that's it's a problem. It's a control what's the problem. So all the government institutions in Estonia, they have to guarantee that if a person wants to see who has access to data, they have to show that to them. So it's regulated, heavily regulated. And this helps. It helps to do radical reforms in Estonia. It helps the government to do new type of e-services, new type of reporting, because people know that they can give data to the government and that data is secure. We had a huge VAT tax control reform last year. Basically, companies were forced to give very sensitive business data to the government. And they were all agreed to do that because they know that they can trust government. So building trust has been a key focus area also for us 20 years, because everything relies on trust. And that's the reason how we guarantee the trust. Basically, the small brother becomes a big brother of the big brother. So, next step, single digital identity. We introduced national ID cards to the nation year 2002. It took us 6 years, not 1 year, 6 years to make it valuable. So 5 years it was like, I have an ID card, but what should I do with that? There was no services, there was no use. So it's always like a chicken and egg problem. If you don't have ID cards, you can't build services, but if you have ID cards, there's still services not to use, so it's a chicken and egg. So we had the egg. So we had a digital single identity, and it took us like 5-6 years to build all the services. And now we are in a situation where Estonians, if you tell them that, okay, let's get rid of digital identity, they say, no, my life relies on that. Basically, we use the same identity to access like any application in Estonia. We share the same digital identity with private sector and public sector. Once again, I want to emphasize this. In Estonia, private sector and public sector do these kind of innovations together. Why? 2007, when Russia cyber-attacked Estonia, they were able to take down a couple of our bank services through heavy cyber-attack. And everybody understood that when one bank falls, the others will follow. So instead of fighting with each other, it's more wise to actually work together against common enemy. So in Estonia, we have, in cyber security area, we have a principle, once for all for one, that if one bank or if one government institution is under attack, everybody starts to protect. And not only government sector, but also private sector. Because they understand if that government institution fails, people will lose trust. If people lose trust, they don't use bank services anymore or like other services. So they understand they need to protect them all together. And so that's why we use the same kind of identity card. And a small country like Estonia, for us, it's actually cheaper to have one security when we rely on private sector and public sector together, because we can actually combine the best brains to defend one system. And actually, it's not one system. We have two systems. We have ID cards, and then we have those. So mobile IDs also we have used since 2007. So if the ID card fails, for example, that it's not functioning, this will work, or vice versa. So we have at least two ways to approach. And the third way is always physical. We can always go to the bank office or government, approach government. So yeah, in the beginning there was a card, and then what's important, we actually copied that solution from Finland. Finland actually developed that solution before us. But we had a radical innovation on top of that innovation, what Finland did. And we made it mandatory. So everybody had to have a card by law. Finland, they made it like voluntary. You can have it or you don't have to have it. And now Finland is in a situation where they have identity cards for doctors and different identity card for government officer. And then they have like national identity card. And the banks also issue identity cards. So basically, if you are a doctor working for the government, you will end up with 4 cards in your wallet. Why? Instead of having 1. So yeah, our innovation was that we made it mandatory to everybody. So when you are 15 years old in Estonia, that's your number 1 document. It's not passport. Passport is voluntary. If you want to come to Dubai, you need a passport. Inside Europe, you don't need a passport. So the card is enough. But yeah, in 2014, we started to give out these cards to the foreigners. It's an e-residency project. But as I said, I will talk about this later on in the second half of my presentation. Yeah. So the maximum benefit what the ID card actually has given to us is that our society heavily use digital signature. So, for example, if our businessmen do business with other businessmen, when I was the CEO of the company, I was snowboarding in the Alps on the same time signing documents at home with my mobile phone. Because, we have reached in a situation where, for example, if you send a paper document to Estonian in Estonia, they will ask you, what's your problem? Do you want to fake a date? Is there a small print somewhere I should be worried about? They are so used to sign digitally. And it's important to understand here, the government always tries to keep things simple. So we don't have huge portals, one-stop stops, and things like that. Keep it simple. The simple is that elder people or normal adult, you are able to use email, right? You're able to use some kind of text editor, like Microsoft Word or OpenOffice, whatever is your text editor. And you're able to use internet. That's it. So for example, if I think also with the government agencies, we are forgetting one fact. People are not using government services on a daily basis. The average number of interactions between the government and the citizen is 2.6 times per year. And one of these 2.6 is declaring taxes mostly. So basically we are talking about 1.6 interactions per year. So if there are 1.6 interactions per year, we cannot talk about customer experience. There is no customer experience in this case. So there's no point to have the best customer experience portal, because there's no customer experience. How many houses you actually, okay, I'm in the wrong country. How many houses you buy per life? Here, of course, many, but in Estonia, maximum 1 or 2. Or how many water supply contracts you're actually doing during your life? Most probably 1 or 2. So there is no customer experience. There is no point to force people. Yes, we have this new portal. You should go there. You should try to figure out how to use it. No. Make it simple. So how it goes in Estonia, the water company basically sends you a Word document, and you are able to use Word. You open it up, you read it. If it's okay, you don't have any changes to do, you sign it. The signing in Estonia means that right-click on the document, then an application that pops up, you type your pins, you push enter, and it's signed, digitally signed. And now another right-click, send email, or send as an email. And it goes back to the water company. And that's it. That's a business. Simple, very transparent. And you don't need any specific experience or you didn't have to go to the courses to learn that. So you're able to actually use it. So that's the point. And that's why we have reached in a way that we have calculated that an average adult in Estonia saves at least 1 work week per year because of digital signature. In a physical world, you have to print out the contract, you sign it, then you invite a courier or a DHL something, then they send it to the other part, you get it, you sign it, you give it back, and then it goes back. So it's expensive, takes time, etc. Not in Estonia. Mobile ID, digital ID, and then mostly like in every business transaction. Government IT architecture. So everything is connected in Estonia. Still not 100% way, but like close to that. So what it means that if, for example, if you break your leg in South Estonia and you are treated in South Estonian hospital, but you live in North Estonia, you have to go to the doctor after a week, to show your leg. So that North Estonian doctor, they have the information, like X-ray pictures, everything. I mean, like what they did with you in South. So everything is connected, and not only in healthcare area, but also in government area. So this is the picture what companies like, big companies like Microsoft, Oracle, SAP, they always show us like, this should be your government architecture. The real thing is that the real government architecture looks like this. You have the same architecture, I can guarantee. It's called spaghetti. So if everything is connected, the picture looks like this. And this is actually Estonian, the same picture, what you see here, even more, we have 900 of these blue cylinders, 900 different government applications and registers. They're all connected. We call this X-road, the method how they're connected. But the actual real picture is like this. What is important is that we basically know all the green dots and we know all the connections. So we have a like law-based method. It's a law, how everybody has to follow the rules. When they create a new application, when they create a new register, they have to follow specific procedure. So we could actually, so we could actually understand how this system will be connected with others. So we have the understanding of our government like this, but it actually looks like this. But we have, if I have to rewrite one green dot, for example, if I have to remove one green dot, I absolutely understand what will be broken. So I know that what has to be worried, who are the partners, who has to be worried, etc. So we have a specific, very regulated method behind this to guarantee that the government has full understanding of what happens with the government IT. That's a very important picture. In Estonia, we have once only principle. So it's a principle that the information can be asked from the citizen only once. If the citizen has already given one type of information to the government cannot ask the second time. So if another ministry needs that information, so instead of asking this information from the citizen, they have to take it from another ministry. So, and a second issue is that they can use that data, but they cannot store it. The point is that the data is kept in one specific area only. So, for example, if health insurance registry needs something from the population registry, they have to ask it from there, but they cannot keep that information in their own registry. They have to use the other registry information. So, so what it means, it increases the access and interaction between systems, and also what it means is that the quality of the data jumps up. And if quality is also very important when people want to, if people want to trust government services, the quality has to be good. And this is one way to do that. So we have, once only principle. By law, 2007 we started. It took a couple of years to actually implement it. So by law, you cannot collect information that other minister already has. You have to take it from there. So by law. And the third focus area is my favorite one. It's called no legacy policy. Another fairy tale. The thing is, when we studied how our Scandinavian, brothers or big brothers, like older brothers, how they have built their solutions. And we have been thinking to develop actually a new Big Mac index. You know what is Big Mac index? You basically compare the price of the Big Mac burger, McDonald's Big Mac burger, how it costs in different countries, and then you can understand how richer is your country compared with the other country. I mean, like a burger in Dubai or in Norway costs way more compared with, I don't know, Estonia, for example, because you're a richer country than us. So the Big Mac index is actually quite good and simple index to compare which country is more rich and much more poor. So we have been thinking to create a similar index to explain the complexity and inefficiency of governments. And to use that, we propose to use government ICT budgets. So how much money we spend on ICT in every government. If you spend more, you have more systems, you have more legacy. And if you spend less and then you are more optimized, then you should be more effective. So to explain the reasoning behind that, for example, the government ICT budget in UK is 20 billion euros. So it's 4 point something in your money multiplied. So 20 billion euros is UK government ICT budget. In Finland, it's 2 billion, 10 times more, 10 times less. Makes sense because Finland is 10 times smaller country than UK. Actually, it doesn't make sense because in digital world, countries are actually the same size. It can't be that UK is a bigger country than Estonia or Finland, and that's why they have more functionality inside their internet bank. That in Estonia, we are a small country, we can only look at our bank account and we can do a small transaction, but we can't buy any stocks because we are a small country and there should be less functionality in small countries compared with big countries. No. In hospital, in banks, everywhere, we need same kind of functionality. The only difference comes out from the performance point of view that, of course, I mean, larger countries, they need more capacity, they need bigger servers, more storage space. But in the time of cloud, storage, performance, scalability, these kind of questions are very minor questions. They're very easy to solve. So it's a question why bigger countries spend so much money on ICT? Because, as you remember, the government budget for ICT in Finland was 2 billion. In Estonia, it's 50 million, 50. So we have 40 times smaller budget compared with our neighbor. Finland is our neighbor. We have between Finland, Russia, and Latvia. So 40 times smaller budget, and 400 times smaller budget compared with UK. And as I said, there is no difference. So yes, once again, when you do your government architecture in the right way, when you do things together with private sector, you actually can make it very efficient. And once more, you have to deal with the legacy. So the reason behind of these huge prices is actually legacy. In Finland, there is still 5,000 COBOL programmers. COBOL is a language that was invented in 1959. So they still have applications that use that language. In Estonia, we have 0 COBOL programmers, none. So company where I belonged for 12 years, we had a subsidiary in Finland. We had 170 programmers in Finland. And they studied how they do their work. And in Estonia, an average programmer spends 80% of their time on programming, actually creating something new. On the same time, with the countries with a huge maintenance and legacy, the programmer spends 70% of their time just understanding what to change instead of creating something new. So it's less than 30% that they spend on creating something new. So that's why we should deal with the legacy. And that's why in Estonia we have this kind of principle. It's not a law yet, but I want to force it to push it as a law. So in government systems, we cannot have any critical information system that is older than 13 years. So you have to reprogram it, re-engineer your stuff. Even though it works, might work quite well, but you force them to reinvent. I'll give you an example. According to the OECD report, and you will hear it tomorrow, Estonia has the best e-health systems in the world. But these systems were built in 2004. I participated in those teams who built these systems. It was 2004. 2004, there was no touchscreens. There was no voice recognition. Storage was expensive. Cybersecurity was nothing in 2004. Cybersecurity is everything in 2015. So if you don't force them to re-engineer stuff, they don't do that. So they are using still old stuff. But if you look at Microsoft, if you look at Apple, you see Microsoft doesn't support Windows XP anymore. So Apple doesn't support old phones or old operation system anymore. It's normal to re-engineer stuff. Your IT people, if they hand over the computers to you, they budget these computers for 3 years. After 3 years, you should have a new computer. But they don't have same kind of budget for IT systems. And as you don't amortize or you don't have a budget, you haven't planned to re-engineer your stuff, you have a problem. After 13 years, your IT manager comes and says, okay, we should, cybersecurity is a problem now, we should re-engineer our hospital system. And the manager says, it's a huge investment, I can't do that. And that's how legacy is created. So instead of letting the legacy come to your house, have this kind of rule since the beginning. So the IT manager comes to you, as agreed 13 years ago, now it's time to reinvent. And then if you reinvent, you create new laws, create new procedures, so it makes sense. And that's one of the things what Estonia wants to push to happen in Europe also, so that Europe could have the no legacy policy. Fight against the legacy. So that's one example. That's the VAT tax reform. I mean, people are smart. What we saw, you can actually establish a company in Estonia with a couple of minutes. Is it good or is it bad? It sounds good, but it's actually bad. Because if it's easy to create a company, it's very easy to create different kinds of cheating schemes, how to portray with the taxes, etc. It becomes very complicated when it's very easy to create company. So what we have seen is that we saw huge VAT tax fraud increase in 2012, 2013. And without no legacy policy, we couldn't actually fight against that. But now we had a radical reform, and okay, I don't have time to explain that, but in December last year, we saw 18.5% improvement in VAT payments because of new system, and because we fight it against legacy. Okay, time for new things. Estonia has reached in an interesting situation. We have basically digitalized everything. What it means that even though Estonians who are working in Silicon Valley or they're working here, they still can participate in Estonian everyday life. If everything is digital, it means it's location independent. So, for example, last year when we had European parliaments, Estonians living in 98 different countries actually participated in the voting through e-voting. So the government provided services for Estonians all around the world for them to fulfill their citizen duty. From 98 different countries, we are serving them. So I can declare my taxes. This year it will be with one click. It has been 5 clicks. Now it's 1 click, and next year we hope to have 0 clicks. So our aim, for example, is that the government should be actually seamless. I mean, some are happening. Things just happen, so you don't have to do anything. Taxes declared, children named, happens. So no government. You don't have to go to the government office and say something. No. Has to be happen somehow. So when we serve our companies, our people, so that digital signature. I can be in Brazil and still part of the business. So I'm location independent. Our parliament is able to work location independent. It's actually, you start to define a country in a new way. I mean, like, have you ever thought what it means to create a country? Let's assume that we want to create a new country. What it needs? People, of course. First of all, we need people. People need, and we need those kind of people who have like similar ideas, who share the similar values. And then if those people gather, then they can form a country. Okay, these people have to be able to vote. Okay, we have voting over the internet, so they don't have to be in one room or in one place to be Estonian. Second, if there is voting, there is a parliament. So the parliament needs to be able to work. In our case, location independent. They have tools to work location independent. Currently, we force them to work in one room because we have a problem with discipline. But if there is no need, actually there is no need to gather in one room. The same thing with the cabinet. The taxation, totally digitalized since 2004, court, e-court. We can have a judge in New York, one part in Paris, and one part in city, and then they can have a meeting. So technically it's possible. So if everything is digital and location independent, what's the use of territory? Can the country be actually can I run a country without territory? Why I talk about this? We have a problem in Estonia. We have a quite aggressive neighbor, you know, next to us. And that neighbor actually occupied us 75 years ago, so it was quite recently. And for 50 years, we were like on the Soviet Union. Now we are free again, but it was just a couple of days ago when the former first secretary of NATO declared that after Ukraine, the Baltic countries will be the next ones. I don't want to be next one. I still want to be part of Estonia. I still want to have my country up and running. So how are we going to fight against this kind of evil? We have started to, I would say, if you know Harry Potter, there was a Lord Voldemort, and he has his special hidden places when he hides his soul. So Estonia is doing the same thing. So we have created a network of data embassies. So not the physical embassies, but embassies for data. It's a different type of embassy. It means like data embassy, they need double electricity, double internet, special cooling. It's a special building. It's a special, it can be a physical room, but it can also be a virtual room. We just finished a study together with Microsoft about virtual embassies. If you want, I can share the link to the study with you. But the thing is that we want to move with our data, and not only with data, but also with services. As I said, if the ID card is not working, we are losing our advantage. So the ID card needs to be working even if there is war in Estonia. So if there is a need, we will take these services, we move into the cloud, and it's very hard to attack you in the cloud. I mean, like you can actually take down the internet, but it's bloody costly. Sorry, heavy costly. So we have a network of embassies, physical ones and virtual ones, and we are working with the diplomatic community at the moment, because it's not only the thing that I'm buying a service from Microsoft, for example. It's not enough. I need diplomatic community. I need UK government or US government to state that, okay, we recognize this data center or this virtual room as your embassy, and we don't touch your data. Because if you remember, it's a trust that we have to keep in mind, that people have to trust the solutions. So, yeah, that's the data embassy thing. So, and yeah, we know that like NSA is looking, etc. But put my shoes in your legs. I mean, like, if there is a war in my country, I don't care about NSA. I have bigger problems to care about. So I can even live with that. But of course, that's a huge thing that we keep in mind, that this shouldn't be happening. So yeah, we have this network. But you see similar actions already forming nearby here. I mean, like It was Ben Horowitz, famous venture capitalist in Silicon Valley, who actually mentioned that this kind of virtual country is already happening now. And one of these examples is actually ISIS, which is like one of the examples of virtual country. Country without actual territory, but still people gathering with same kind of principles. We don't have to judge them. Is it a good principle or a bad principle? But we see people gathering and actually forming a virtual country. So this is not nothing new. I mean, like this is like a normal organic development in the world. Countries will lead this way. And yeah, but we have our reasons. I mean, like to explain that, 1991, when it broke apart from Soviet Union, our first question was, who are the citizens of Estonia? And if you were able to prove that your grandfather or grandmother or mother-brother was Estonian before the Second World War, you got your citizenship. So how you prove that? Okay, there's old archival materials, there are old church books, all on paper, that show that, okay, that was my mother, that was my father. So on paper, there's a proof. 3 years later, Estonia did a land reform. So the government wanted to reestablish the situation that was before Second World War, before occupation. So everybody got back their land and buildings. Again, old archive materials were presented. My grandfather actually got back to his farm. He was able to show that this farm belonged to his family before occupation. Okay, again, it's called continuity. But if everything is digital, if there is no paper anymore, how you guarantee the continuity? Let's assume that Estonia will be occupied again. And after 70 years, we sing ourselves free again. And then the government wants to reestablish the situation what we had before the occupation. And if everything is digital, there is no paper anymore. How am I going to do that? There's no paper. So I have to be there. I have to be in the cloud with the data, and not in the data, but also with the services. But if everything is in the cloud, if you are actually able to guarantee the continuity, if you are able to protect my citizens' wealth, and we are location independent, we have a new type of opportunity. So it's not digital. Being digital is not only about worrying things, but it gives you a new opportunity. Let me remind you, Estonia is a 1.3 million nation. Only 1.3 million people living in Estonia. And we want to be richer also. And we don't have oil. We have oil shale, but we don't have oil. So, and we don't have natural resources. So what we going to do? If you want to have more revenue, you need to have more customers, right? Private sector thinking. More revenue, more customers, more profit. So I want 10 million Estonians. The worry is that I have spoken with my wife. These are my children. So I have spoken with my wife. Is it possible to organically grow up to 10 million? She wants to kill me. So physically, it's not possible. Immigration, our neighbors, Finland, Norway, Sweden, they have benefited a lot from immigration. But we are living in north, so there's cold up there. And even if you think about moving up there, if you, in the same latitude, there is Stockholm, Oslo, and Tallinn, our capital. So if you have should I go to Norway, where there is a huge social benefits compared with Estonia? It's quite simple choice. They go to Norway, not Estonia. So our amount of people in our land actually decreases every year by 5,000 people. So we are going down. The trend is negative at the moment. And I cannot change that. So what I'm going to do? Once again, I'm able, Estonia, total digital, we are able to serve people all around the world. So they don't have to be physically in Estonia. But on the same time, they want to use simple tools. They want to declare their taxes with one click. They want to have very simple business environment, government services, private sector services. They want to do business location independent, not hassle with papers. And we can give that to them. So, sorry, I said if the Muhammad is not willing to come to the mountain has to go to the Muhammad. That's the principle. So we are going. So we are opening up our country to everybody. So everybody who wants to access a part of Estonia, like for e-residency, you can do that. We got 5,000 applications with first 24 hours. So there was, and we have now currently 17,000 in a waiting list. And of course, this is a total new thing, so we have to redesign our stuff. We need to create new type of service. Our banks, they have, okay, now we have like lots of new customers, so we have to deal with them. So, but we have a plan. We have a vision, and we have, I say, ambition to be successful, and we invest here a lot. So from 1st of April, currently you have to come to Estonia to become e-residents, but after 1st of April, you can be an e-resident approaching our closest embassy. So this is not a thing that you can get over the internet. It's not so. It's not some kind of customer card. No. It's a government-backed identity. So if you follow certain procedures, if you give your fingerprints, the Estonian government will state that behind that digital identity is that person. We guarantee that. So, yeah, and it works. So, and it might give us more customers, and it might make other companies and country richer. Even though the amount of physical people in our country, which is a beautiful country actually, there are lots of forests and rivers and lakes. Okay, it's cold there, but still, it's a beautiful country. We are a country without borders. So we don't have to speak about Estonia anymore like as a physical territory. We're a country without borders. So that's our aim, that's our vision. Sorry. Yeah. and yeah, if you want to know more, please visit www.E-Estonia.com. But of course, we continue to create these beautiful children and increase our nation. So there has been many wars during history in Estonia, but we have survived. And we hope to survive even more. So thank you for your attention, and see you soon in Estonia.